We have news on America's longest war, the most significant global pandemic in 100 years, and an unprecedented election season, and it's not even midweek. So I just wanted to pop on and give you a couple things to think about as you're seeing some of these big stories out there. We're going to start with where U.S. soldiers are now and where they may be over the next several weeks. We have news from the Pentagon that there will be a drawdown of U.S. troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. A drawdown, not a withdrawal. So there will still be the presence of U.S. troops in both of these countries. Let's start it off in Afghanistan. As you know, the longest war in American history. The United States went into Afghanistan after 9/11 because the Taliban provided a safe haven to al-Qaeda to plot and to train and to plan and to execute 9/11. And right now, what you need to know is that despite all these years, the Taliban now control more territory in Afghanistan than at any point in the war. The United States has been negotiating with the Taliban and the Afghan government, trying to figure out a way forward that may lead to a U.S. withdrawal. We don't have any news on that front. It's been a frustrating process and highly controversial. But the big question remains about what the relationship is like between the Taliban and al-Qaeda now, and what happens if we leave. Does proximity lead to greater national security? Do we need to be present in Afghanistan in order to be safe here at home? And what is the cost of that in American lives and resources? These are really big questions. In Iraq, we're tackling some things like different. There's different dynamics at play. We're present in the United States in Iraq because we're trying to counter Iran in that region. We're also keeping an eye on ISIS. I know we've been really distracted with the U.S. election. There have been 2 Islamic terrorist attacks in Europe over the last several weeks, including one in Austria that's tied directly to ISIS. So we're not just talking strategically about countering those that would be forces against the United States in person. We're also talking about countering an ideology. These have been huge questions that have bedeviled multiple administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike, about strategically how to do this. How can America do this best? President Trump promised to end America's endless wars. That's how he described it. He talked about having troops home by Christmas. That's not going to happen, but according to this plan, if it's carried out the way that the Pentagon described, troops would be home by January 15th, a key day, 5 days before Inauguration Day here at home. Now, you know that according to state results, media outlets have called the presidency for Vice President Joe Biden. You also know in order for these results to be official, they have to work their way through the state. It happens on a state level. So in counties all over America right now, they are certifying election results and passing it on to the state government to certify them, basically further lead to the Electoral College vote on December 14th. We had some news today that was a little bit unexpected. A county in Michigan where it looked like the commissioners were not going to certify the results. Now it looks like they may, with the contingent of an audit on the election. By the time you see this news, it could change again. The bottom line is this: we have to watch what's happening on the county level. Any speed bump can slow down the process in the state and could lead to an unexpected path. We know that all pathways to the presidency start at the local level. So this is why we really have to pay attention to the news as it develops right now. In the meantime, some news on COVID-19, another vaccine trial with potentially positive results. Now, we don't have the data. We're not working through it ourselves, but Moderna says their vaccine could be very effective against COVID-19. This follows news from Pfizer just last week. It's important to note that the vaccine technology that Moderna is using is the same as Pfizer. It's an mRNA vaccine. It's never been approved for human use before. So that's important to keep in mind. Also important to know that for these trials overall, no one younger than 12 is receiving this vaccine. So there's limitations. While there's optimism in general, there's limitation to the studies and what we know at this time. One thing about Moderna that's interesting is that this vaccine needs storage that requires refrigeration that's already existing in doctor's office all around the world. So that makes health officials a little bit more enthusiastic about this vaccine because it would not require extra equipment if it was ever approved and then needed to be distributed. Fun fact on Moderna, by the way. So a lot of different groups support a drug maker's research. One of those groups is Vanderbilt University. Vanderbilt University received $1 million from Dolly Parton. So Dolly Parton, in some strange way, is attached to the Moderna vaccine. What can Dolly Parton not do is the question I'm going to leave you with today. We'll ponder that. If you have questions on any other news items or comments, always let me know, and more on smarternews.com.